So, mm, good morning to all of you. So, in environmental biology, in the last class, we have studied, or in other words, I have discussed a lot of things about the natural resources and the classification of the natural resources, renewable and non-renewable, and many things. So, today we will also continue in the same thing about two, three important things. One is the deforestation and the impact of dam building on biodiversity and various aspects. We will start. So, first let me start with deforestation. So this now the question is, what exactly meant by a deforestation? Probably all of you are know. Okay, I will have to admit many students when they join. So this deforestation, what actually meant by deforestation? Deforestation refers to the removal of the forest. In simple term, if I have to say, it is nothing but the removal of the forest. We call it as deforestation. How it is? By cutting or clearing or totally removal of the forest or related ecosystem, and thereby what we are doing is we are making our earth totally barren by removing this things. So this is what we call the deforestation. So now, as a result of this, what's happening? It's a permanent destruction of the forest or woodlands, what we can call, and where the same land once which was having a the standing crop of this forest has been now transformed into something other than the forest. So that is we call it as uh, deforestation. What is the impact? How first this results in green zone reduction. This results in green zone reduction, and this deforestation can happen by number of means. One may be clear felling of the trees by cutting the trees. Of course, in modern world, we have more sophisticated equipments so that within no time we will be able to cut the entire forest. Or sometimes you might have heard the forest fires. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಳಗಿಚ್ಚು ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, this can also lead to the deforestation. But more importantly, the illicit clear felling of the trees to convert the forest land for various purpose or to extract the timber for various these things, we are clear felling the forest. So this is the main cause for our deforestation or disforestation. So here I will show you one photograph. Probably it will tell you a lot. This single photograph will give you more information than what we speak. See, once it was a forest, now this has been degraded and that has been cut. So, what is the importance of the forest? What happens if the deforestation happens? So, first thing we all of you know that we are how to depend on the uh, oxygen for our very survival. This forest plays a very important role in the photosynthesis where it make use of the carbon dioxide and release of the oxygen. So that's why it also the forest the main job is the carbon sequestration what we do. So this carbon sequestration as a result of which we will be uh, if this is not happening, the oxygen content in the atmosphere will be low. So this is the carbon sink, what we call. How it is the process of what you call carbon sequestration, and large number of carbon uh, in the form of carbon dioxide it is realized by the plant, and large amount of carbon dioxide carbon is also stored because all living beings are organic. And being the student of chemistry also, uh, all living beings, they are organic, means they are made out of carbon. So in the body this carbon gets incorporated. So that's why uh, if the forest remains, then only we will have the carbon dioxide sinkage and the release of oxygen. Otherwise that will be totally different. So here there are four different types when we come to the forest deforestation. It can happen. One is natural reason, sometimes because of volcanic eruptions, or maybe uh, natural forest fire, non natural forest fires. And all. Then other three are mainly the anthropogenic pressure because of the human intervention. What are those? One is clear felling the forest. It is known as coop cutting, where large forest tract is cut and that has been converted into agriculture land. Second one is commercial logging and timber harvest. In the forest, selected trees are cut. Why? We need timber, we need wood, either for firewood or for construction. For various needs, we need forest. So there's a commercial log. Then uh, there's also, though in India it is bad, earlier it was there that the slash or burn forest, or it is known as shifting cultivation. People used to go to a one forest patch, cut the entire patch, sow the seeds, grow it, because in the forest the soil will be very fertile, grow crops for 6 7 years, then abandon that, go to a next patch, again cut it. So this is in olden days this was the major reason for what you call the deforestation. But now also in some countries it is happening. Then apart from that there are other means. One is logging. What do you mean by logging? Cutting the trees. Or mining is, of course, all of you know what is mining. In order to extract the ore, mining is actively done, and most of our natural resources, especially these things, are found in the uh, forest. So for that mining, probably a few years back, you might be knowing what has happened in Ballari. In the name of manganese mining, how many forest area has been converted into barren land. Then oil and gas extraction. Sometimes if you find oil and gas, natural resource, this natural gas or petroleum product in the forest, then to extract we have to. Then many times another reason for deforestation is cattle ranching. So cattle are let free in the forest. So what they do is they start eating all the saplings, young saplings, so that no more growth. So this can also uh, cause the deforestation. Then lot of local and international, national uh, factors like development in the name of development, um, trade agreements, civil wars, or it can be construction of roads. So many factors will cause to the uh, degradation of the forest, especially the major projects like constructing the dam. When a dam is constructed, large area of the forest gets submerged. That's what happened when this Linganamaki dam was constructed, or Supat, or Ganesh Kudi, different dams in Uttarakhand only, wherever the dams are constructed, lot of area gets submerged, and as a result, that is invariably the forest, and that will uh, contribute to the deforestation. Then construction of highways, highway construction, lot of trees are cut. Probably recently in news, there's a 4 lane in between Kumta and Sirsi is going to happen, and some 5,000 trees are to be cut. Fortunately, uh, in Devmani Ghat and Mangal Ghat, where there is a good lot of wood that has been spared, in spite of that, 5,000 trees will be cut. In when putting the pipelines, transmission, electric transmission lines, electric power lines, because below the power lines you do not allow the forest to grow. So then city expansion, flyovers, building, and many more causes. Uh, it is because we think the world is hello. This is we think uh, the entire world is our for our use, and we also treat the wood as a material. Uh, and the timber is used for construction, furniture, paper industry, stationery, package purpose, or even it is also used as a fuel also. For various purposes, the wood is used. So wood is in high demand. When the wood is in high demand, invariably there is a pressure on the forest and remove the forest trees for cut the forest trees. I will show you one map, the world deforestation state-wise, how it is happening, and as the population increases, see the increase in the population and forest loss, where you can see North America, in Asia you can see this is the population increase and the forest loss. With the increase in the forest, Oceania, Latin America, Africa, everywhere you can see uh, with the increase in the population, more and more pressure is put on the uh, forest, and that will cause a lot of problems. So, this you can see uh, 30 million hectares of world forest are lost every year. Then you imagine, and but the growth of the forest is much less than what we uh, destroy. So here, the 3 million hectares of the uh, 3 million hectares of world forests are still lost every year. This is the tropical deforestation rate from, if you see that, from 2000 to 2005, see here the average area cleared per year. Uh, so average area cleared per year in Brazil and Indonesia, it is very high. You can see, fortunately, in India nowadays, the forest clearing is very, very less. And you know, most of the countries which I have named, they are mostly the African countries because they do not have enough uh, foreign exchange. So that's why, and they do not, though they are rich in natural resources, they are not effectively utilized. So they think that exporting the forest to different parts where they are needed, naturally they get the foreign exchange. So that's why they are actively engaged in cutting the forest and marketing that elsewhere in the world. So this has also caused the lot of problem. Now the question is, what are the import effect or impacts or consequences of this deforestation? First, if you look into the environmental impact, first is the habitat fragmentation. What happens if there's a continuous patch of forest, and in the middle, if there are maybe some very good trees, and if you cut that patch, the forest gets the habitat, in which habitat is the place where animals live. Habitat is the place where animals live. So this gets disturbed and fragments. The entire forest becomes into smaller fragments, and it can pose many problems such as territorial conflicts, homelessness, lack of food availability, migration, disturbances. It causes a lot of things because in a patch of forest, so many organisms, plants, animals, they live in harmony. But when you cut these plants or these trees, deforest some part of the forest, then it gets fragmented and it affects the livelihood of all the living beings which are found there. Then the consequences, if you see that, extinction of thousands of species. Uh, so many species are there. Many of them may die because there are many species which are endemic. What do you mean by endemic? The species which have restricted range. They are found only in that patch, not elsewhere. For example, all of you might have heard about the line-tailed macaque ಅಥವಾ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಂಗಳಿಕ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಿರಲ್ಲ. That is found in only in Sharavati forest and Silent Valley. And suppose if the trees in the Sharavati Valley or Silent Valley they are cut, these line-tailed macaques become homeless and they will die. And they are found only there, not elsewhere, not anywhere else in the world. So this leads to the extinction of thousands of plants, animals, and all those things. Then it will cause the greenhouse effect. What is greenhouse effect? uh, all of you might have seen the greenhouse, which is used for garden, for in agriculture or horticulture to grow the plants. Why this greenhouse is protected? Inside you can grow the plants, uh, and it has very high temperature inside, very, I mean, elevated temperature, and as a result of that, there will be plant growth will be very good. But if the entire world becomes a greenhouse, what happens as a result of the greenhouse? How? When the plants are not there, but trees are not there, there will be increased level of carbon dioxide. When the carbon dioxide is more, this carbon dioxide and carbon particle form a mantle or a shield or a screen over the atmosphere. When a screen, shield, or a mask of this carbon has been formed above the atmosphere, what happens is the sun rays can pass through, but the heat generated here will not go out to the outer space. Heat will not dissipate into the outer space. As a result, here in the land, there will be more increased temperature. Every year we say that since last 5-10 years I have been observing. Every year they say that uh, this year the hottest year in the world. So this will going to continue because of the greenhouse. The heat generated here will not go out as this is forming a screen or a shield above the atmosphere and not allowing the uh, heat to dissipate into the outer environment. It is just like, to give a small analogy, all of you feel more sultry or uh, more heat when on a cloudy day ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಮೋಡ ಇದ್ದ ದಿವಸ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬಾ ಸೆಕೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ವೈ? Because the cloud formed in the atmosphere will not allow the heat to go outside. So the heat is shielded here and it increases the local temperature. But remember, if the entire atmosphere has been covered by the greenhouse gases, then global temperature will increase. It will um, lead to the global warming. Global warming. As a result of global warming, what can happen? More and more ice caps which are found in the polar region, that is the Antarctic and Arctic, or on the mountain tops, start melting because of the increased temperature. That will add more and more water to the ocean. As a result, there will be rise in the ocean level. Ocean level rise ಆಗತ್ತೆ. As a when the ocean level rises, it will submerge many of the coastal areas. So this is the effect of greenhouse effect in nutshell. Then temperature increase can cause tsunamis, hurricanes, typhoon, tufans. Every year now we hear so many storms or tufans or hurricanes. Why? It is because of the increased temperature, which is the consequence of deforestation. Then landslides, because the rain pattern has also changed because of this deforestation. Torrential rains, or sometimes there will not be rains. For example, if you observe in our part only, earlier we know that rain, we used to get maximum rain in the month of June, July, August. But since last 2 years, if you see, June there is not much rain. Most rains will be in the second quarter of July, August, and in the month of September. Earlier in the September, we used to get very little rain, but this year only you have experienced how much rain it has poured down. Then volcanic eruptions, ozone depletion also happens. What is ozone? Ozone is O3, which is again a mantle or a screen above the atmosphere. What is the use? what is the usefulness of this ozone? Ozone will filter the sun rays, because sun rays has ultraviolet rays which are very very harmful. If we expose to ultraviolet rays, it will cause cancer. But thanks to the nature, above the environment, there is a layer, there is a screen, shield of ozone which will absorb this ultraviolet rays and prevents the ultraviolet rays reaching the uh, earth. But this deforestation will also lead to ozone depletion. So these consequences are very. Then soil erosion. When the trees are cut, I have in the last class I have told you about the importance of soil. So now if the soil erosion, because the soil is firmly binded by this root system, roots will not allow the soil to erode. But when the trees are cut, soil gets exposed, and then there will be soil erosion, loss of topsoil, then acid rains. How? uh, there will be more pollution because of this deforestation, especially the sulfur dioxide content in the atmosphere increases. When the sulfur dioxide content had increase in the atmosphere during rainy season, what happens? Sulfur dioxide reacts with water and it becomes sulfuric acid. And what we get is not the normal rain, then it becomes the acid rain. Then the destruction of corals, increase in the temperature also causes the bleaching of the corals. Corals ಏನು ಹವಳದ ದ್ವೀಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹವಳಗಳು, ಹವಳದ ದ್ವೀಪ, because this is very important in the marine environment and they are considered as the rainforests of the ocean. They start bleaching. Then climate change. uh, climate change, pollution, groundwater pollution, air pollution, everything happens. Then what is the impact? Social impact. So, as a result of this deforestation, social conflicts and struggles over land and natural resources, because there's a population is increasing, but we are left with a small amount of natural resources, including forest. Then there will be conflicts, struggles in between the people, states, or it can be between the nations also. So conflicts over racial and ethnic rights, which you might have seen or heard or read in the newspaper. Especially this is happening in the northeastern belt, because there are many ethnic communities. They are fighting among themselves for right over the forest and all those things. So then more and more poisoning from oil and mining waste. Then economic uncertainty because of price fluctuations, high interest rates, all those things are the social impact. Uh, so deforestation has huge impact on the global warming. Main causes for climate change: 2 million tons of carbon dioxide enters the atmosphere because of the deforestation. By deforestation, two things are happening. One is by cutting, there is the carbon sequestration is stopped, and converting the carbon dioxide into oxygen is also minimized. More than that, when you burn the wood, whatever the carbon that is stored in the wood, it is released into the atmosphere and causing the air pollution. 2 million tons of carbon dioxide enters the world, remember, which is much more than the automobile and other pollution. So then, when we say these are the impacts, is there any solution to deforestation? Uh, okay, there are many solutions. One is the first step what we can take is to curb the tree felling by enforcing series of rules, laws to govern it. Uh, of course, in India now the deforestation has decreased thanks to the efforts done by various central and state governments. In fact, in India, one very noticing and promising thing is we are the forest cover is increasing, and then banning clear cutting of the forest, and more than that, many times we cannot say don't cut the forest. Sometimes we need it. Then our game should be reforestation and afforestation. If even if we cut the trees, we should take care to plant more and more plants, more and more trees, and uh, then we have to cut the trees because when the cities grows, agricultural land grows, or because of various means, when the tree cover becomes less, only answer for that is reforestation and afforestation. Then reduce the consumption of paper, especially to the student community. I am appealing again. Your daily consumption of paper. What we do? We purchase a 200-page notebook, write uses few pages and throw it. And many times, whenever you don't need a paper, don't use it. Your daily consumption of paper, including printing paper, notebooks, napkins, paper toilet papers, everywhere we are using papers, and all of you know that the paper comes from the trees. So if you use more and more paper means we have to cut more and more trees and reduce the waste of paper, and try to opt for recycled paper. Most of the time what we do, we throw the paper. Don't throw the paper. Yeah, give it to someone who collect the paper, old paper, and it is sent for recycling. And recycled papers are also equally good, and it can be used for various purposes. Then the last thing is to educate others. Probably being the young community, we have a lot of hopes on you. So you can educate the others who are unaware of the global warming problems, and educate your friend, family, and community by sharing the facts about the impact of deforestation and its causes and effects. And by that you can make your own impact. That's more important for us. So uh, remember, this is a one important statement. Nature knows how to get back at us, and uh, we we can inevitably wait for that. Nature has the rule. It has its own phenomenon. It will restore everything. But remember, it will be more disastrous. More disastrous. If the nature starts controlling all these aspects, it will be more disastrous. And if the human being do not stop destroying it, nature itself will come back. And then human race may not be remain also when the nature takes that task. So that's why it should be our goal, aim, and program to uh, control this deforestation and promote reforestation and afforestation. This is in brief about the of this deforestation. Now, the same thing in your syllabus, they have mentioned about dam building and its impacts. You know, lot of dams have been constructed for various purposes. Either it may be for hydroelectric power generation, or it can be for irrigation, or it can be for flood control, or maybe for fishing, for multi-purpose. Most of our dams are multi-purpose projects. So here, uh, one of the most critical factor uh, in contributing the change of river system. Many times we think that these rivers are nothing but the water channels. Remember, rivers are not the water channels. They are the lifeline of the civilization. So now, if you construct the dam, if you change the river course, a lot of ecological disaster happens. But what happens in the name of our development? We go for dam construction. Uh, but the impact of the dam construction on the environment um, is very huge. In all construction, river impoundments or dam operation. So what happens when the dam is constructed? Naturally flowing river gets obstructed, and it become and it is now the water released as per the requirement or as per the will and wish of the human being. The the flow, when the dam is constructed, the flow manipulation result both in chemical, physical, and biological changes of the ecosystem of both upstream backwaters as well as the in the backwater also. To give one small example, which will understand you better, probably you know the Sharavati River, and Sharavati River. a new dam few years back, and in Kali also, few years back, in Gersopai dam was built, and in for Kali in Kadra another dam was built. Oh, as a result of what happened, there is no free flow. Then water is regulated. As a result of that, earlier in Sharavati River, before the construction of the dam, uh, this saline water used to go even up to Kersopa. But now, oh, sorry, in the summer. But now in the summer also they release the water. As a result, what has happened? The saline area has been reduced, and the animals and plants which are living them, that also got obstructed. So that will change the physical, chemical, and biological changes. Uh, So the reservoir water spill out into the surrounding environment. As a result, there may be flooding also sometime. Uh, up to present, about remember 4 lakh 4 lakh square kilometers of the earth have been flooded due to this dam. This much area has been covered by the dams. See, I have given you some of the important dams, either they may be Bakranangal or Nagarjun or whatever the taste is. How much land has been submerged, and flow of water, natural flow of water, I am talking, has been destructed because of this. So now there are many positive effects. I am not ignoring the positive effect, because we need energy. For the hydroelectric is the cheapest energy that is available to us, or it can be the irrigation. Lot of barren lands were brought under irrigation, or it can be a lot of area is made available for fish culture and various means. But mm, there are many negative impacts are also there on the, especially on the air. So the dam acts as a barrier between upstream and downstream habitat. So this has affected a lot, because especially I will take the example of fishes. The fishes migrate. The fishes also show migration. There are many marine fishes which go to fresh water for laying eggs, especially during the early monsoon. They go to the swan for uh, this thing. But because of this, what has happened is that's a barrier. The fishes will go to the uh, somewhere in the upstream of the rivers and breed there. Now, because of the dam construction, they cannot cross the dams. Uh, Especially the students of biology know that how important this migration is, and as a result, uh, when the fishes do not go there, they go there, lay eggs, and the eggs hatch. Young ones come out again. They move down the river and reach the ocean. So the fish catch in the ocean has drastically came down. And there are many fishes which migrate from rivers to sea for laying eggs. There are other groups of fishes. They also can't, because of this dam construction. Then spawning, threatening, decrease the reproduction and reduce the species population. And then uh, when the dams are constructed, they block the sediments. Sediments, the top sediments from the forest, from various places, they used to flow down, and they used to spread in the open areas near the ocean. But now what has happened, because of the dam, they started settling in the dam, and this has also resulted in the silting. The dams get silted. Ultimately, by constructing the dam, running river has become a pond or a lake. So, a river has specific physical, chemical, and biological properties. A lake has a different physical, chemical, and biological properties. But by constructing the dam, uh, we have changed the physico-chemical and biological properties of the river into a pond or a lake. This affects the biota which is living in the free flowing rivers. This may cause many problems. For example, it may aquatic animals coordinate their reproductive cycle with annual flood seasons. Uh, Species change in the species accumulation or species structure may change. As I have told you, many aquatic animals coordinate their reproductive cycle with the annual flood season. Usually during the flood season, uh, many of these, as I have told you, the marine fishes migrate to upstreams for reproduction. Uh, Only reproduce during the April every year. Uh, But if the flood never comes because dam holds, and as a result, uh, either they cannot go, even if they go, they cannot come back. So as a result, the number of uh, the richness of the species or the abundance of the species is affected. Then even vegetation depends on these regular cycles of flood. Uh, when the dam has been built, it stops flooding. So we call it as the flood is dangerous. But sometimes in many places, for many aquatic, for many vegetation, the flood is also equally important. Uh, the dam built and to stop flooding, and it will adversely affect on the riparian trees. That is the trees which are living on the river bank, riparian trees. So many of the flood flats, earlier they used to get flood, now the people have started constructing the houses in the floodplain. Uh, Riparian vegetation change will be there, and especially where enormous floodplains in the southwest United States of cottonwood, marshes have been, earlier there were marshes. They have been replaced by dry, barren areas where you will see only one particular plant, that is tamarisk, and grass is grown nowadays. So these are the negative species. Then even sediment deposition problem everywhere. A dammed river is said to be hungry for sediments because uh, soil which get washed during the rain, they get deposited in that. Rate of deposition of the sediment uh, wow, will be more, and silt deposition will be there. Water eats away all the river shores and river bed, and as a result, the deepening of the riverbed, narrowing the river over a time happens. Earlier, what used to happen is uh, these silts they used to be washed, and because of this sediment deposition or silt, many of our dams have a lifespan of 50 years, 60 years. Even if you see in the either Linganamaki dam reservoir or in Supa, silt deposition has become more and water storage capacity of the dam has reduced. ಏನು ಹೂಳು ತುಂಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಇದು ಏನು ಸಿಲ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೂಳು ತುಂಬೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಇದರ ಆಯುಷ್ಯನೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಡ್ಯಾಮಿನ ಆಯುಷ್ಯನೂ ಕೂಡ ಆ, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಆಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ನಾವು ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೂಳು ತುಂಬಿ ತುಂಬಿ ಆಳನೇ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ erosion reduce more erosion, see the soil erosion. It has affected the uh, habitat of many organisms. Uh, Even eroded this one has a lower water table level. So because of all these things, uh, even we don't know what will happen. Suppose a dam breaks, because the dam has been constructed to withstand the load of water. But now what is happening is instead of water, more and more sediments are there. sediment load will be more. Suppose if the dam bursts, it has happened long back in Koina River. It has happened. So many people lost their lives because of the uh, opening of the dam. And many times, in the flood, when the dam becomes full, water, large quantity of water is released at a time, and it causes artificial flood in the lower uh, regions. This is what is happening. Not only in Sharavati, every now and then it happens, or in almost all dams, this condition. Uh, So all reservoirs nowadays dams develop a reduced water storage capacity due to this sediments or stilt. Uh, Ultimately, what happens? We have constructed the dam, but enough hydropower cannot be generated. Water is not available for irrigation. So uh, eventually result in the expiration of the dam and both the river. Uh, then when the dam is constructed, what happens is large area gets submerged, and already there are many plants, and these plants uh, will die and decompose. This decaying water, decaying plant material settles at the bottom, and when they settle, they undertake oxidation, where they use the oxygen, dissolved oxygen in the water, and water becomes free from dissolved oxygen. If there is no dissolved oxygen, no animals can live. Then when they uh, deteriorate or this decompose the plant materials, they release one dissolved gas, that is the methane. Methane gas is released, and again it is very dangerous to the environment. Even we have the effect on human beings also. So artificial lakes are created uh, of the because of human being only, and it is said that these many of the dams are the breeding grounds of diseases, uh, especially in the tropical areas. They have become the breeding ground for mosquitoes, which are the vectors of many diseases like malaria, and lot of snails, freshwater snails, which are the vectors for so many diseases, starting from your elephantiasis to uh, schistosomiasis. So many diseases can spread, and then the biomass converted into the methane gas, which I have told you, pollute 3.5 times more than any other pollution. We can say that methane is the most dangerous gas. Uh, Then construction of large dams have resulted in the displacement and resettlement of many million people across the world. Probably you may be knowing, when the Kali Super Dam was constructed, lot of people were evacuated and they were settled somewhere near Ramanugudi and all those places. Resettlement and displacement. They were living in that area since so many generations. They were having enough lands, agriculture. They were living in harmony with the forest which was found there. But because of the construction of the dam, so many areas get submerged and they were all displaced, and resettlement was done. But uh, people lost their homes, and even uh, they have fame in a new area, they have to struggle very hard to find their livelihood. All those problems are there. Many times when we construct the land, so many our archaeological and cultural sites also get submerged. So these are the negative impacts of the dam. So ultimately, in summary, I may say that uh, dam construction is like a coin which has two sides. Uh, One is the beneficial effect, and another one is the unfavorable. But as far as possible, while constructing the dam, we should avoid the unfavorable ones. I have told you dams will affect the passage of fishes. Then nowadays the dams are provided with fish ladder, where the fishes can easily cross. Such things are to be incorporated because we are not in a position to say totally no to the dam construction. But when the dam constructs, it should take care, or it should bear in mind, the architects should bear in mind that how best we can reduce the impact of the dam, negative impact of the dam on environment, social aspect, and on human being. So that's why first we should study the disadvantage caused by the, and then feasibility, whether the dam construction is feasible, what is the, at what cost, all those things are to be this one. And moreover, we should promote the beneficial aspect, and as far as possible to minimize or to subtract the negative effect caused by the dam construction. Um, sustain Our aim should be sustainable development, and harmonious coexistence between the nature and human being. What is this sustainable development? Sustainable development means instead of exploiting the natural resources at once, let's depend, we will protect them, manage them, and we can uh, make the best use of them without affecting their population. This is sustainable development or sustainable use. To give an analogy, suppose if you have some money, what you can do? You can spend the entire money within a few weeks or months or year, and after 2 years or next year, there will be a big question mark what to do because you have spent all the money. Sustainable development means it is just like keeping the entire corpus in the bank and taking the interest only, so that corpus remains for your future. This is the idea of sustainable development. Every natural resource, it should be the judicious and equitable sharing and judicious use of these natural resources. The rivers are also natural resources, and we should learn to live harmoniously, coexist with the environment. And uh, of course, in the name of development, the degradation of the river systems are happening. As a consequence, uh, in days to come, in future, we have to come across lot of economic and social implications. Uh, Whatever the past failures, now they will start affecting us. So the cost of consequence has resulted in the benefits of many dams being overstated. Many dams, though the use of the dam may be minimized, but because of the political and other pressure, they are overstated and dams are constructed. But it is at what cost and how they will affect the population and all those things have not been uh, properly studied. Then the next one is mining, mining and its impact. What is mining? Mining is the extraction of valuable minerals or other geological material from the earth in the form of ore, lode, vein, seam, reef, mineralize to get the minerals. Because minerals are natural resources which play an important role in the economic development of any country. And of course, minerals being the natural resources, we are fully depending on that. But the extraction and mining of these natural resources has caused some of the adverse effect on the human being, on the social aspect, as well as on the environment also. So mining, different types of mining. Uh, One is surface mining, strip mining, uh, which can change the topography, drainage systems, and open pit mining, where material is extracted from the open pits and then they are left there. Uh, As a result, it affects on the landscape, wildlife, plants, animals, everything. See, these are some of the photographs of the mines. See how much, of course, we have extracted the minerals. As I have told you, I'm not in a position to say no to this mining. But what are the effect of this mining? That also bad effect or negative impact of the mining also we should understand and appreciate. So environmental effect on mining is acid mine drainages. Many of these mines are rich in minerals. They are open mines. Whatever the mineral it is available, that has been extracted and then it is left. During rainy season, what happens? It contains lot of chemicals, and uh, as a result, the water gets acidic. So many things they dissolve, and water get acidic. Whatever, because in rainy season, the water flows through there, and afterwards they reach the river and ocean. Um, During the mining, lot of dust is inevitable, so that has impacts on the air quality. And many of the heavy metal contamination, heavy metals are very dangerous to the life. Either it may be mercury, cadmium, or it can be strontium. These are all heavy metals, very highly dangerous to the body, but heavy metal contamination with the water is taking place. Then erosion and soil erosion is always there. Then it has also affected the many of the habitats of the species, the area of the species. Uh, so acid mine drainages outflow acidic water from the metal mines or coal mines, so it results in orange color, and estuary and sea kills aquatic life, uh, and makes the water unfit for drinking, or for no, or unfit for plants and animals which are living in the water system. See, this is another um, photograph of a mining for your information, and especially mines give out large amount of methane, carbon dioxide, uh, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, and all of them are greenhouse gases. At the same time, they are toxic gases. Um, so they are very affecting the air quality. And see the dust uh, when there's an mining is going on. So they are making tunnels in the earth crust. That's also causing a lot of geographical problems there. Heavy metal contamination, that is copper, lead, cadmium, etc., that causes the contamination of the surface water. Not only surface water, even the groundwater is also contaminated. Elevated level of cyanides, nitrogenous compound, uh, in the mine site, especially causing lot of human problem. Uh, Erosion and sedimentation, loss of landscape, beauty of the surroundings. Um, These excessive sediments which come out, they get settled on the riverbeds. As a result, the depth of the riverbeds becomes shallow, and major one is when we extract the minerals, whatever the things that is left, waste rock disposal has become a major problem. It is dumped, and still it contains some amount of the metals and minerals. They flow. These are the active dumps, old dumps. Water flows through them, and water get contaminated. And the same thing reaches rivers, lakes, riverbeds. Then the mining is also affected, associate deforestation. After mining, wasteland formation will be there, loss of plants and animals, soil quality, structure, fertility, everything is affected. Uh, then social impact, again there's a displacement and resettlement of the human beings from the area of mining. Migration will be there. It affects the livelihood of the local people. Um, Failure to access clean water, even there's a uh, effect on the public health. So that's why uh, uh, whatever the mining will take place, we should minimize them as far as possible. We should concentrate on reusing the metals ores, because these are non-renewable natural resources. If we exploit all these minerals and ores from the earth crust, a day may come when our children may be left with no such minerals. So that's why the judicious use, equitable sharing, and then regulated mining and reuse of minerals, finding the substitute for them will be the answer, and so that we can retain our uh, environment clean and green. So that's what I wanted to share with you as far as this is concerned. Uh, So, uh, can you hear me? ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ? ಹಲೋ 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 ಏನಾಯ್ತು?